Hi everybody, Kathy Syrett from Confident Leader Journey here. Um, Time for vlog, I think, again. And this week's vlog is about enhancing your communication skills as a leader, specifically how to dig deeper into your own and your colleagues and your followers' thought processes and how to help everybody increase their self-awareness and make changes in their behavior. And this particular vlog is about one specific approach, which is about the use of metaphors and how we can use those to enrich our communication skills as leaders. It will include a couple of examples, which you might be able to translate to the workplace, and a little bit of concept too. And if you want a book that really goes into this kind of stuff, here's the one I would recommend. Clean Language, Revealing Metaphors and Opening Minds by Wendy Sullivan and Judy Rees. I've done a previous blog on clean language, but this takes it to the next level. So let me give you an example and tell you what I'm talking about. So when I was managing a team once, when I asked one particular team member what his biggest challenge was in the role, he found it a struggle to answer me. So I said, well, what's it like being a team member? And he described his experience using a metaphor. He said, it's like being on a ship, on a sea that sometimes is calm and sometimes is quite rough, and I'm not in control of it. Okay. Now, I could have said, why is the experience like that? Or tell me what it is in the team that makes it like that. But that would have brought him out of his metaphor into the kind of real world again. And he'd already struggled to communicate about his real world experience. The only way he could express it was as this metaphor. So the important thing as a leader is when someone uses a metaphor is to stay in the metaphor, because that's how they're experiencing the situation. So instead I said, okay, so when you're on the boat and you're not in control of it, what's that like? And he said a bit more about what his experience was on the boat. And we stayed the whole conversation on that metaphor. I didn't once refer back to the real life team experience. Okay. I'll tell you more about how that story turned out at the end. But it's as simple as that in one way. So, for example, if someone says to me, if I'm coaching someone and they say my relationship is at a crossroads or my career is at a crossroads, most of us will go immediately to tell me more about your career, tell me more about your relationship. We'll go to the tangible, real life experience. However, the most useful and powerful place to go is to the metaphor. Tell me more about the crossroads. When you say crossroads, what's that like? Because, remember, if that is the language the person is using to make sense of their experience, then that's obviously the place we can be to influence and help them change that experience. So I'm going to give you an example. And it's one that I want to share with you because it's actually very similar to one in the book. Okay. So I was working with some people who had very high anxiety. They were youngsters who were basically failing college because they couldn't go every day. And one particular lad was unable to go to college. He hadn't gone for quite a while, even though he was brilliant at the actual content, which was art. And they tried a few things, and he just couldn't go to college. His anxiety was too bad. So I was asked to do some work with him. And we spent the first session, basically, he didn't talk at all. We just sat, leant on a fence, looking across the fields where he lived. Didn't say a word, did the contracting up front without any real verbal agreement from him, just a couple of nods. And at the end, I said, would you like to do this again? He says, yes, it's been great. So first of all, there's that power of creating that safe space that I think we've talked about as a leader and as a coach. The second time we met, I asked him a question. I said, so I know that you're talking to me because you have anxiety about going to college, but going to college, what's that like for you? And he said, it's like I walk in and they're dogs. There's a whole load of dogs. I'm walking into a pack of dogs and they're all looking at me. And I'm a dog too. And they don't know how to handle me. And I don't know if they're going to be friendly to me or if they're going to bite me. I mean, what a powerful image that is for a young person going into a college environment and feeling that. So I stayed on that metaphor. I said, so, and when you go into that pack of dogs as a dog yourself, tell me more about what that's like. And we explored it. And he started identifying that he said, the real problem is I'm walking there and I have no idea how they're going to react. So I'm probably walking in there with my hackles up in the first place. And maybe they don't know if I'm going to be friendly or snap. Okay, so he started having insights about himself within the metaphor. As we continued to work through the metaphor, he started coming up with things he could do, still within the metaphor. He said, well, maybe if I was able to go in wagging my tail or with some treats or something, then I'd know they wouldn't bite me. And he started unpacking things he could do to influence that environment. Interestingly, as we were going through these sessions, because it took quite a while to work through this metaphor, he started going to college, and I started getting feedback that his behaviour at college was changing. He was less defensive, he wasn't getting into fights and trouble so much, and his work was improving. And this is so similar to a story that's in the book. When you read this, you'll be shocked, except the lad in the book was talking about wolves at school. That it just highlighted for me the power of staying within the metaphor. Because if we'd have come out and I've said, so what it is about the teachers that make you see them as dogs, he would have been talking about the people again, and that would have brought the anxiety up. The metaphor is the only safe place for him to express it. And I suppose that's what I really want to get to. One of our roles as a leader is to be a coach and to create an environment where the people working with us or for us can feel safe enough to explore what's going on in their lives and to improve what they're doing, and to let us know what we can do to support them. And if part of leadership is empowering others to reach their potential, then this is key. We tend to assume that people can articulate every experience they have, and there are some people who can. However, the metaphor is often the safe place for people to be. So if we're genuinely concerned about creating a safe place for them, then joining them in that metaphor is where they are safest and where we'll see the most progress. So now the book gives some more structured guidance on how to work with metaphor, which is very important because it's where clean language is particularly important. But even just starting to work with metaphor will make a difference to you and to the people around you. You can listen out to it with family members, with friends. When they use a metaphor, stay in the metaphor, and it's amazing what you'll learn about their lived experience of their situation. So let's go back to the team member I was talking with, who'd expressed that being in the team was like being on a boat. Sometimes there were smooth seas, sometimes there were rough seas, and he felt he wasn't in control of the boat. So getting him to talk more about the boat, it came about that he felt more of a passenger than a crew member. Isn't that interesting? That was his lived experience of being in the team, was as a passenger, carried along by the decisions and actions of others, doing his best to not get in the way and try and make a difference. But he didn't experience his membership of the team as being part of the crew. So we explored that. When he identified that, he went, oh, wow, that's really interesting. And so we then started going into, so when you picture yourself as being a crew member versus a passenger, what's that like? And he started integrating an image of himself as a crew member into the metaphor and identifying things just within the metaphor. And what was interesting was, as we went through the coaching process, again, I got feedback from him and from other members of the team that he was starting to make a real difference and a real contribution and was being seen differently by the team, and he started seeing himself differently. And we ended up with, he had this powerful thing. He said, I might not be the captain of the boat, but I'm a crew member. I'm doing useful work. I'm helping the boat get through those rough seas. And on the smooth seas, we have a bit of time to kind of tweak the rigging and tweak everything to help it run more smoothly. And he says, and I know the captain listens to me and the rest of the crew listen to me, and that feels great. And we totally turned around his experience in the team without once ever talking about his experience in the team. So this vlog is about using metaphor. Watch out for it. If you want more information on it, get in touch with me. You can find me on Facebook at the Confident Leader Journey or the Confident Leader Journey community, where we talk about more things like this. You can also find my website, confidentleaderjourney.com, and look there. And if you'd like to explore the value of using metaphors to enhance your leadership, just get in touch with me and we can have a conversation about it. Okay? And so I will say that doing this vlog is for me like preparing a beautiful Sunday roast dinner, because it is a Sunday when I'm recording this. And I just feel the pleasure of sharing this with all of you and hoping that you enjoy it as much as I do. Okay, that's my metaphor, and I'll see you next week.